Have you ever wondered who invented the very first gun? You might imagine a brilliant engineer sitting in a workshop, carefully designing a weapon that would change history forever. But the truth is much stranger. The first gun wasn't invented by a soldier. It wasn't created by a king. It wasn't even built for war. It all began with a group of ancient Chinese alchemists who were trying to do the exact opposite of what guns would eventually become. They were searching for the secret to eternal life. Instead, they accidentally discovered one of the most destructive inventions in human history. So, how did a failed experiment become the ancestor of every pistol, rifle, shotgun, and machine gun used today? The answer takes us on a journey spanning more than 1,000 years. Long before modern laboratories existed, Chinese alchemists spent their lives mixing minerals, herbs, and mysterious powders. Their goal was simple, but nearly impossible: create an elixir that could make people live forever. Around the 9th century, during the Tang dynasty, one experiment produced a completely unexpected result. By combining charcoal, sulfur, and saltpeter, they created a substance that burned with incredible speed and force. Instead of discovering immortality, they had accidentally created gunpowder. Early records even warned that the mixture could burn houses and severely injure the people making it. At first, no one thought of using it as a weapon. Gunpowder became famous for fireworks. It filled festivals with brilliant colors, loud explosions, and dazzling displays that amazed crowds across China. But it didn't take long for military leaders to notice something. If exploding powder could launch light into the sky, maybe it could launch something else. That single idea changed history forever. The earliest gunpowder weapon wasn't actually a gun. It was something called a fire lance. Imagine an ordinary spear with a bamboo tube attached near the tip. The tube was packed with gunpowder. When ignited, it blasted flames, sparks, smoke, and burning fragments toward nearby enemies. It was terrifying, not because it could fire bullets, but because no soldier had ever seen a weapon that literally breathed fire. During battles, the psychological effect was enormous. Fear has always been one of the most powerful weapons in war, and the fire lance delivered plenty of it. Still, Chinese inventors kept improving the design. Soon, they began placing metal pellets, pottery fragments, and small stones inside the bamboo tube. Now, the explosion didn't just produce fire, it launched deadly projectiles. That simple improvement introduced one of the most important ideas in weapon history. Exploding gas could push an object through a tube at tremendous speed. Every modern firearm still works using this exact principle. But bamboo had a problem. It couldn't survive repeated explosions. The tubes cracked. Sometimes they exploded in the hands of the soldiers using them. So craftsmen replaced bamboo with bronze. The stronger metal could safely contain much greater pressure. This led to the creation of the hand cannon, the world's first true gun. Instead of shooting flames, it fired solid metal projectiles from a metal barrel. For the first time, gunpowder wasn't just creating an explosion, it was launching ammunition. That changed everything. As the Mongol Empire expanded across Asia during the 13th century, they encountered these remarkable new weapons. The Mongols were famous for adopting useful technology wherever they found it. Gunpowder quickly became one of those technologies. As they conquered new territories, knowledge of firearms spread westward into Central Asia, the Middle East, and eventually Europe. The invention itself traveled almost as fast as the empire that carried it. By the late 1200s, Europeans had begun experimenting with their own versions of hand cannons. They were crude, heavy, slow to reload, often inaccurate, sometimes even dangerous to the person firing them. But they possessed something no traditional weapon could match: power. For centuries, massive stone castles had protected kingdoms from attack. Thick walls could resist arrows, catapults, and battering rams. Cannons changed that. Repeated bombardment could slowly break apart defenses that had once seemed impossible to destroy. Suddenly, castles no longer guaranteed safety. Another symbol of medieval warfare also faced a serious challenge: knights. For hundreds of years, heavily armored cavalry dominated European battlefields. Their armor could stop swords and many arrows, but it couldn't stop powerful gunpowder weapons forever. As firearms improved, armor became less effective. Military strategy began to change. The battlefield no longer belonged only to elite warriors. Technology was starting to level the playing field. Early guns still had serious flaws. To fire one, soldiers often needed a burning match held against the gunpowder. It was slow, difficult, and nearly impossible to use efficiently during intense combat. Everything changed with the invention of the matchlock. Instead of manually lighting the powder, the gun contained a simple trigger mechanism that lowered a burning cord into a small pan of powder. Pull the trigger, the powder ignited, the gun fired. For the first time, firearms became practical enough for large armies to use regularly. Soon, inventors continued making improvements. The wheel lock eliminated the need for an exposed burning match. Then came the flintlock. Rather than using a glowing cord, a piece of flint struck steel to create sparks. The result was faster, safer, and far more reliable. For nearly 200 years, flintlock muskets became the standard weapon for soldiers throughout Europe and North America. These were the firearms carried during the American Revolution. They helped shape the birth of the United States itself. But inventors weren't finished. During the 1800s, the percussion cap replaced flint with a small chemical ignition system that worked even in wet weather. Soon afterward came repeating rifles, capable of firing multiple rounds before reloading. By the late 19th century, modern firearms were beginning to emerge. Looking back, it's remarkable how little of this happened all at once. No single inventor created the modern gun. Instead, thousands of craftsmen, engineers, soldiers, and inventors each solved one small problem after another. A stronger barrel, a better trigger, a safer ignition system, a faster reload. Generation after generation, those improvements slowly transformed a bamboo tube filled with powder into the advanced firearms we know today. And perhaps the strangest part of the story is where it all began. The people responsible weren't trying to invent weapons at all. They wanted to defeat death. Instead, they accidentally created a technology that would reshape warfare, politics, exploration, and human history for centuries to come. Sometimes the inventions that change the world aren't born from the answers we seek. They're created by the questions we never expected to ask. If you enjoyed learning how humans invented guns, don't forget to subscribe for more documentaries exploring the surprising origins of history's greatest inventions.